Hey Doobs, how we doing today? Welcome to another fantastic edition of the Final Thoughts series, where we talk about our most recently played games, give them a spanking review, and really just digest what we played here. So yes, of course, Doobs, today we are talking about the long-awaited 7 years Last of Us Part 2. What a journey this has been, finally receiving this game. Naughty Dog working long, hard hours, regardless of what you think about the game, regardless if you've been spoiled with the leaks, regardless of how you just feel about The Last of Us in general. You cannot deny the boundary pushing experience that not only The Last of Us 1 gave us, but especially in the expansive Last of Us Part 2. I'm going to say this is definitely an improvement from The Last of Us Part 1, but I think the right word here is expansive. They've really expanded upon the gameplay they set for us here with The Last of Us Part 1, just in terms of interaction and graphics and especially the landscapes and character development. It's quite a long game. Your first playthrough will probably take you about 20, maybe 25 hours if you're really looking through every nook and cranny. So I'm just going to say right off the bat here that I really think in terms of craftedness and attention to detail, and especially the amount of time that the game really does have to offer on a playthrough, is exceptionally worth the $60 price tag. That's always kind of a big debate with games released, especially most recently. You know, what qualifies a $60 title as opposed to $40 or $50 titles, but that's not it here. We're talking about The Last of Us Part 2 and how it warrants such a highlight in video games history. Of course, with The Last of Us 1, Naughty Dog didn't really have any expectations from people. It was a new IP, and now 7 years later, we as gamers have been chomping at the bit to finally see the story progress for Joel and Ellie and all the characters we've come to know, and even the new characters we get to know here. It really does feel like a part 2. I think part 2 is a strong emphasis here. You'll probably hear me say a lot of things that I've said in my live streams, and you can watch the whole game on the Doobs, the Journey Continues series, but I'm just kind of reiterating all my notes that I've taken and my thoughts here. So yeah, it's really a part 2 experience. It's really a true continuation of the story here, kind of like what we've seen in, Kill Bill Volume 2. I think the volume was the right word to use. It's not just 2; it's a part 2. It's a second verse in an already established universe here. And I'm trying to just keep it together here because I'm just gonna flat out say this is an amazingly wonderful experience, especially from someone like me who really takes a moment to appreciate the minute details that Naughty Dog, Neil Druckmann, Evan Wells, and everyone on the team has taken. The way the grass flows off of your character, the way gunshots whiz by, the sound effects. There's just lots of looking around, and really an expansive again from the wide linear design here. It's not an open world game. This is a third person action adventure that takes you through sets of levels. There is a guide here. It's open, but eventually you're going to come to that bottleneck where you'll continue on with the journey here. But just it was always exciting to get to that next encounter with Joel and Ellie. So yeah, we play as a couple different characters here. This is going to be as spoiler free as I can. I don't want to give away too much. This is truly a game that needs to be witnessed from start to finish on your own. And it's really sad that this game was leaked a couple months before, and Neil Druckmann was really sad and frustrated about that. But it's really good that the people kind of care about the story beats of this game. There's no doubt that this game is polished. The gameplay is there. And we'll talk about this a little bit later, but really the story is at the heart of this game. Video games originally were just kind of plug on your TV, play the game, and that was that. We weren't really excited for the story, but we're getting to a point in video games where they're telling a narrative, especially with Naughty Dog hitting the ball out of the park in the last couple of years with their exclusives. And I'm talking God of War 2018, Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man. It's really not only the gameplay we're looking forward to, but the narrative, and especially here with The Last of Us Part 2. I think we were dying to know the continuation of the events from the end of The Last of Us Part 1, and really, again, that's why we see Last of Us Part 2. But yeah, gameplay-wise, you're going to be going from section to section, encountering, of course, our clickers, our established enemy types here, and the humans, that can also be just as scary as the fungus infectant that we're fighting here. And yeah, we get some really nice new additions to the enemy types here, and I really applaud Naughty Dog for really answering my call to kind of give me some new enemy types, some new enemies to play around with, and things to really be scared and just feel the tension of what is behind this door, what is coming next, and really all of this gameplay, the shooting, the encounters, the exploration. You will be exploring a lot here is really just tied together with the incredibly detailed presentation that I really was getting God of War 2018 vibes here. Just the amount of level of detail. And when I wasn't playing this game, I was thinking about playing this game, and just really all the surprising little interactions that you wouldn't normally expect in a video game, especially by today's standards. But Naughty Dog has really pushed the bar here with a revenge story, and kind of turns into a redemption story. That the characters here, and I'm not going to talk too much about the story or the characters, because I really just would like the people that want to listen to me but also really experience this game beat by beat. Um, is just a whole ring around of madness, and again, that really just comes together in the presentation that Naughty Dog has given us. Yeah, sure, it can maybe get slightly repetitive. There is a lot of locked doors, and you have to get around the locked door, but really, I think they're just trying to show that there's more. There's not just one direct way. You either have to go under the door, over the door, around the door, or do some kind of, as I coined it, the Naughty Dog boost. You'll be playing a lot of this game with an incredibly intelligent AI partner, and again, it's just an expansion of what we've seen with The Last of Us Part 1 with Ellie, and really being a great AI partner that you're not just taking care of. I think we're getting past that a lot, especially again with 2018's God of War with Atreus. Just really being a great partner to have, and actually feeling like you really have that help there when you need it, instead of just taking care of them or always being the one to pick off enemies, and they're just kind of there to maybe be an occasional distraction. Yeah, the AI partners, they feel real, especially with the beautifully directed motion capture cutscenes. And I'm just giving a huge shout out to Ashley Johnson, Troy Baker, and Laura Bailey was a really nice addition to the cast here. Laura Bailey, man, huge shout outs to her. But of course, everyone that lent their voice and took the time to really make this feel like a movie. It feels, sometimes you're forgetting you're even playing a game here. You're just so involved of just getting to the next story beat to really see how the story continues. And again, that's what I think a lot of people were just really excited to see here. What was the next thing that was going to happen? How does this tale go from beginning to middle to end? And especially, the ending here, there's a lot of powerful moments, and it's really not the action sequences that captivated me. It was the moments in between where Naughty Dog has really made characterization in video games one of the strongest points you can get to. But yeah, Doobs, I know we're kind of dragging along, and there's so much to say about this game here. So many amazing moments and incredible attention to detail. Um, there's very little you can do to elevate this experience. I had to put a pun in there for Ellie's sake and Ashley Johnson. I really don't know if there is a perfect game, but this is about as close as it gets for me. I kept this game not spoiled. And the levels, especially when you're trying to find everything, I'm trying to just find a few maybe nitpicky things to say here. Maybe the levels can feel almost a little bit too expansive when you're trying to collect everything, and once you reach a certain point, you really can't go back to re-explore if you want to. But I kind of like that. It is really, for me, a perfect blend of open world gameplay with a linear movement here. But I say linear very vaguely because you'll be crawling under trucks, you'll be hiding from people, really plotting the next movement of how you're going to progress to the next area. And there's just a lot of cool verticality here is the great way to put it. There, it's not just going straight to a level, it's going up the level, it's going down the level and around the level. And yeah, maybe some of the level exploration can get a little repetitive with just trying to find how do I get around the locked door, especially if you're going for 100% and really just looking for the really cool minute details. And I love what I love especially about games like the Resident Evil series, and we see that a lot here, is all the notes you can find and the lore building of all the little stories, and you're kind of following these characters around, and it's really just a lot of fun to read the notes, and especially when they kind of provide a hint at what's to come, or maybe a locker combination to a safe with a bunch of awesome goodies. It really feels rewarding when you pay attention to the story and the things happening around you that really do help you out in future events. There's a lot of that fun little tidbits here. Yeah, of course we have. As far as I say about the levels kind of getting too expansive, there is Naughty Dog has developed such an expert way of kind of leading your eye to the next checkpoint, especially with things like yellow tape, the Naughty Dog boost, but they've really crafted a way to keep it open, but for you to always somehow just find where to go, and that's really hard to do in levels like these, and it feels like really you can kind of go a lot of different places when you really do just kind of eventually creep up, and you'll find the next checkpoint without even really realizing it sometimes. But yeah, The Last of Us 2 came out and flexed its large Abby-sized muscles, and there's no loading. I mean, really, the only load you really get is when you boot up the game. But yeah, a lot like God of War, there's no loading. Of course, there's cuts, but there's no loading here. In this game, truly feels like it's larger than the sum of its extremely fine-tuned parts. I mean, every part of this game is extremely fine-tuned, but it just adds up to such an emotionally, incredibly rewarding experience. And yeah, and it's going to make you feel something. That's what's most important here, is this game will really make you feel something. And I think that's really where a lot of the hate came towards in the leaks. But at the end of the day, Naughty Dog won. They made their audiences and their fans truly feel something with the story here. It's every story beat, it's every character moment, it's progression, and I just gotta say, it's really surprising when you come to especially Ellie's guitar moments that really make her feel like such a flushed out character. But yeah, Doobs, I gotta say, this is it here. I'm giving Doob Radical's first 10 out of 10. Yes, sure, there's very nitpicky things here you can say about the level progression and the way things move. But this game absolutely deserves the 10 out of 10 here. Just such a stand tall experience. And yeah, I just want to real quick before we end here is the current Metacritic score is a 94, a super hard level to attain, a super hard number. There's not a lot of games that really reach this level of polish and detail. And yeah, if you notice, the user score is a 4.6, and this is kind of what I was saying, where the leaks that happened, people judged the game before it even come out when they knew what happened in the story. They didn't even want to buy the game when they knew what happened in the story. But it's kind of ironic because that's the sort of reaction Naughty Dog was kind of looking for here. They want you to feel angry. They want you to really feel like they want you to feel what Ellie feels and Joel feels and all the other characters feel in this game, because it's such a gritty, brutally honest representation of human violence here, and it absolutely deserves to be witnessed firsthand without spoilers. Or if you're casually watching a streamer like me play this game, it just really has to be witnessed. The moment to moment gameplay is unparalleled, and I absolutely recommend this to anyone a fan of video games, anyone that has a PlayStation. It's just such a seamless, somewhat controversial experience, very progressive storytelling here. And that's also, I think, what pissed maybe the user rewards. But for once in your life, this time you have to trust the actual critics here. They really are representing the game with the 94. Of course, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10 here. It's absolutely deserved that score. But yes, Doobs, I don't want to go on too much longer here. Thank you so much for joining with me here with finally the release, Last of Us Part 2. I guess we'll just have to wait another probably 10, maybe 15 years for Last of Us Part 3. We'll see where it takes us here. But yeah, as always, Doobs, we'll be right back.